Welcome to The Mind, a podcast series by the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre, New Zealand. A conversation at the meeting point of modern science and the contemplative traditions of yoga and Vedanta. I'm Rama, your host. Last module ended at a threshold. Swamiji, Sarah, James and Kai had built, step by step, a picture of awareness as the living ground of everything, and then turned to face the most personal question of all. How does that boundless awareness become you? One particular person, with one name, one body, one set of worries. Today we cross that threshold and begin Module 2, the anatomy of the mind. And we start where every map of the self has to start, with the moment the universe seems to fold itself down into a single point of view. How does the one become the one you call I? From universal consciousness to the individual. Let's join them. The same room, a new module, a fresh pot of tea. There's a small sense of beginning again, the comfort of old companions, the slight charge of unfamiliar ground.
Before we step into new territory, I left you a question to carry, not a technique. To sit with, how did the universal awareness become this particular person? Did any of you actually do it?
I did, with Mother. I sat one evening after the kids were asleep and asked it, and honestly, it made me a bit emotional. Because I am a mother feels like the most solid fact about me. And the question gently asked, solid, yes, but where did it come from? I didn't get an answer. I got a kind of softening.
Mine was the voice in my head. I caught it narrating, "You sounded stupid in that seminar," and asked, "Whose voice is this really?" It was unsettling, in a good way, like turning around quickly to catch someone following you and finding the street empty.
I asked it before a class. How did the universal become this person here with these 30 kids? I expected nothing. What I got was a strange steadiness. For a moment, the role of teacher felt lighter, like a coat I was wearing rather than my skin.
Good. All three of you found the same thing from different doors. The everyday I feels utterly solid, and yet when you look at where it came from, it loosens. That loosening is not a trick of mood, it is the first glimpse of something true. Today we're going to look, slowly and precisely, at exactly how that solid feeling I is built, because once you see how it's assembled, you can never quite be imprisoned by it again.
Can I start with the blunt version of the question? In Module 1, you kept saying there's one awareness, undivided, behind everything. Fine. But I don't experience, quote, one awareness. I experience me, stuck behind these eyes, with my memories and nobody else's. So either the quote-unquote one awareness thing is wrong, or something happened. What happened?
That is exactly the right question, Kai, and exactly the right bluntness. Nothing was added and no second reality was created. The traditions describe it as three linked movements, not three events long ago, but three things happening right now, this second, to keep you in place. Let me take them one at a time. The first is localization. Sarah, think of sunlight. Before it comes through your kitchen window in the morning, what is it doing?
Just filling the sky, everywhere. You don't think of it as being in any one place.
And the moment it passes through the window?
It's a shaft, a beam, right there on the floor. Suddenly it's here and not there.
Has the sun been cut into pieces?
No, it's the same sunlight. It's just been given a frame.
That is localization. Awareness, which is everywhere and nowhere in particular, begins to be organized around a center. Suddenly there's a here and a there, an inside and an outside, this body and that world. You experience everything from somewhere, from behind these eyes, through these ears. That's why you feel awareness is located roughly in your head. It hasn't shrunk. It's shining through a particular window, and the window makes it feel local.
And on its own, that's harmless? Just a point of view?
On its own, harmless, even necessary. You couldn't function without a standpoint. The trouble starts with the second movement, limitation. Once awareness is shining through one window, it can only do what a window allows. It no longer knows everything, only what reaches it through the senses. It can't attend to everything, only a few things at once. It doesn't remember everything, just fragments, your fragments. James, you'll know this one from a tired Friday.
Oh, completely. By the last period, I can barely hold the names of the kids in front of me, let alone everything I meant to cover. There's this sense that I know more than I can reach in that moment.
That precise feeling, the channel is narrower than the source, has a name in the Kashmir Shaivite tradition, sankocha, contraction. And notice the word is careful. The awareness isn't destroyed or made smaller in itself, it's contracted in expression, a vast thing functioning through a narrow pipe. Which is why you can have that haunting sense in a quiet moment that reality is bigger than what you can currently see. You're feeling the gap between the source and the channel.
That's oddly comforting, actually. The limitation isn't me being inadequate, it's just the shape of being a person.
Exactly, Sarah. Limitation is what makes a finite life possible. That you can learn, be surprised, grow. That some things stay mysterious. It's not a flaw. But it does make the individual feel vulnerable and incomplete, a small knower surrounded by a large unknown. And that sets up the third movement, the decisive one. Identification. Kai, you act, don't you? I seem to remember you mentioning drama.
A bit in school. Why?
Have you ever watched an actor so lost in a role they seem to become the character, feeling its fear, defending its choices, as if the play were the whole world?
Yeah, the good ones, you forget they're acting. They almost forget they're acting.
The actor hasn't stopped existing. Their attention has just become so completely invested in the role that the person behind it is, for a while, forgotten. That is identification. The localized, limited point of view stops being merely an instrument you're looking through and quietly becomes what you take yourself to be. I am this body. I am this personality. These are my thoughts. This is my whole story. The costume is mistaken for the wearer.
And that's the moment me really clicks into place.
That's the moment the Jeev is born, the Sanskrit word for the individual experiencer, the one who does, enjoys, and suffers. Localization gave a center. Limitation gave finitude. Identification gives ownership. Experience is no longer just happening. It's happening to me. The action is mine. The success is mine. The wound is mine. The story is my story. And that's where suffering can take root. Not in being an individual, but in mistaking the individual for the whole of what you are.
There's a line in the old texts on this, isn't there? You usually have one ready.
I do. From the Pratyabhigya Hrudayam, the heart of recognition. It says the individual, though contracted in consciousness, is still of the nature of the whole universe, but in contracted form. And the commentary gives the image I love most, a great tree present inside a tiny seed. The trunk, the branches, the leaves, the fruit, all genuinely there, but folded down, condensed. You are not a small thing cut off from the whole. You are the whole universe in seed form. Nothing is missing in you. It's just contracted.
That's a very different feeling from, I'm just one small person.
It's the opposite feeling, and it's the ground we'll build the rest of Module 2 on.
Can I bring something honest in? You said suffering takes root in mistaking the individual for the whole. I see that in my daughter. When she's having a hard week, she says, I am anxious, not I'm feeling anxious. It's like the whole of her becomes the anxiety. Is that what you mean?
That is precisely what I mean, Sarah, and it's the heart of today's lesson. The traditions make one sharp distinction here, maybe the most important one in the whole course. They separate the true self from the sense of self. Let me make it concrete before I name it. James, notice how differently you feel in different rooms. At the front of your class?
Competent. In charge. Mostly.
At a family dinner with your parents?
Honestly? About 14 years old again.
With an old close friend?
Relaxed. Open. Myself, I'd say.
And alone, late at night, when an old worry comes?
Smaller. Sometimes a bit afraid.
So which one is the real James? The authority? The teenager? The easy friend? The frightened one at midnight?
They're all me, but none of them is the whole of me.
Now notice what didn't change across all four. In every single one of those rooms, something was simply aware. Aware of feeling competent, aware of feeling 14, aware of the fear. That bare fact of being aware never flickered. That constant is closer to the true self. The four shifting Jameses are the sense of self, constructed, conditioned, changing with the room. They're not fake, but they're formations appearing within the awareness, not the awareness itself.
So the sense of self is like the weather, and the true self is the sky.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Kai. The weather is real, you'll get wet, but it isn't the sky, and it's always changing, and the sky holds all of it without becoming any of it. Now, back to Sarah's daughter. When she says, I am anxious, she's done something specific. She's collapsed the whole sky into one passing storm. The anxiety, which is weather, gets mistaken for the whole of who she is.
So what do I actually say to her?
You don't argue the anxiety away, that never works, and it tells her the feeling is shameful. You gently widen the frame, not, you're not anxious, but, anxiety is here right now, and you're the one noticing it. The smallest gap between the feeling and the one who has the feeling. Modern therapy has a name for that move. In acceptance and commitment therapy, they call it diffusion. Learning to watch a thought or feeling instead of being swallowed by it. The contemplative traditions have been practicing exactly that for thousands of years. Same gap. Two roads to it.
This is the Science and Vedanta meeting again.
It is, and here's the older voice in that meeting. Sri Ramakrishna was asked how the formless absolute and the active world-making power relate. He said, think of fire, and fire's power to burn. You cannot think of fire without its power to burn, nor the power to burn without the fire. One reality, two aspects. When you contemplate it as still and beyond all activity, you call it the absolute. When you contemplate it as creating and moving, you call it its power, its Shakti. That's why in this course we use one word that refuses to split them. Consciousness energy. The true self is that, not a thing among things, but the awareness being everything else is appearing within.
And mistaking the weather for the sky, does that have a name too?
It does. Avidya. Usually translated ignorance, but it doesn't mean lacking facts. It means misreading your own nature. The contracted awareness taking itself to be a separate, sealed-off self, and forgetting the fullness it's the local expression of. And here's the hopeful part. Distinguishing the two, sky from weather, is the beginning of freedom. Not because the personal self has to be destroyed, because it can finally be put in its proper place. A wonderful instrument, an expression, not the final truth of you.
Okay, but I want to be fair to the science here. A neuroscientist would say there's no mystery. The self is something the brain builds. Why bring in universal awareness at all?
And the neuroscientist would be right about what they're describing. Let's give that account its full due, because it's genuinely impressive. Kai, how do you think a sense of being a separate person actually gets assembled, biologically?
I mean, there's a body with a boundary, skin, an immune system that knows me from not me. There's a fact that I see from where my eyes are. The brain stitches all the senses into one scene. Memory ties yesterday's me to today's me. And there's a kind of running story I tell about myself.
That's an excellent summary, and you've just named most of the scientific machinery. A bodily boundary that separates organism from world. An embodied viewpoint. You see from where your eyes are. Sensory integration. The brain weaves sight, sound, touch into one seamless scene, so you don't feel like you're watching 5 films at once. Memory continuity. Linking the child you were to the person you are. So life feels like one story instead of a series of strangers. A self-model, a working picture of me, my abilities, my limits. A narrative, I'm someone who. And a sense of agency, that you reached for the cup. Each of these is real, studied, and important. Together they explain, in fine detail, how a personal center is put together and held steady.
So where's the disagreement?
There almost isn't one, and that's the key. Science explains the formation, how a bounded, embodied, remembered self gets built. The contemplative traditions describe the ground, what awareness itself is, the reality all that machinery is operating within. Science tells you superbly how the radio is built. It tends to go quiet on where the music comes from. The traditions speak about the music. They're answering different questions, and that's why they can be companions rather than rivals.
So you're not saying the brain-built self is an illusion?
Not at all. And this matters enormously, especially for mental health, so let me be exact. Your individuality is experientially real. You really do live as a distinct person. It's psychologically necessary. You couldn't make a decision or raise a child without a working self. It's biologically supported. The body naturally centers experience. It's socially reinforced. From the moment a child is given a name, the world helps build their I. All of that is true. There's just one more line. Individuality is not the deepest or final truth of what you are. It's a contracted mode of something much larger. Real as an expression, not absolute as an essence.
That feels like it's threading a needle. Why does the exact wording matter so much?
Because there are 2 ditches on either side of the road, Kai, and people fall into both. The first ditch, call it everyone is an island, says each person is an utterly separate consciousness, sealed off from every other. That makes real compassion almost mysterious. Why would you feel another's pain if you're truly sealed? The second ditch, call it nothing really matters, waves individuality away as a mere illusion. So memory, relationships, grief, responsibility supposedly don't count. That one is dangerous in a different way, because it's all illusion anyway, can be turned into a quiet excuse to disengage. From grief, from people, from the work of caring. That is a misuse of the idea, one any of us can fall into. It is not what the teaching asks. The road between them is the balanced view, one awareness appearing through many real centers. The centers genuinely matter, they're just not the whole story.
Is there an image for that? My students always remember the image, never the argument.
The oldest one is the best. one sun in the sky. Below it, many pots of water, one clear, one muddy, one with a surface rippling. In each pot, a reflection of the sun. Many reflections. How many suns?
1.
So the reflections are many, and they genuinely differ. The muddy pot gives a dim sun, the rippled one a broken sun. But the source was never divided and never dimmed. One sun, many reflecting conditions. One consciousness energy, many body minds. You are a reflection, vivid, real, particular, conditioned by the clarity or muddiness of your own instrument, but not a separate source of light. And here's the one refinement the Kashmir tradition adds, which I love. A pot of water is passive. It just sits there reflecting. But a living body-mind isn't passive. It's a living, active expression of the very same power that is the sun. So you're not a dead mirror. You're a living ripple of the source's own self-expression.
And that changes how I treat another person. If they're another reflection of the same sun, they're not really a stranger.
That's the whole fruit of it, Sarah. Compassion stops being a moral effort you have to manufacture and starts being accurate, the natural response to seeing that the other is another expression of the same reality. Conflict becomes workable. And love, which always involves the boundary between me and you going soft, turns out to be closer to the truth of things than the isolation the ego usually feels. The ego's loneliness isn't just painful, it's a misreading. This week, one small experiment each, and like last time, it's noticing, not fixing. You're going to try to catch the everyday I in the act of being assembled, in the exact place each of you lives. A minute is plenty. Sarah, when a wave of feeling comes about your children this week, worry or pride or guilt, try the smallest rewording, out loud or silent. Not, I am worried, but worry is here, and I'm the one noticing it. Just feel whether even a thin gap opens between you and the feeling. Then, if you can, offer your daughter the same gap when she needs it. The anxiety's here right now. You're the one watching it.
Sky and weather, with her and with myself. I can practice that.
James, once this week, at the front of your class, silently notice the 4 ingredients we named building teacher. The body standing here, the view from these eyes, the memory of who these students are, the story, I'm their teacher. Watch it assemble, and notice the awareness it's all assembling within. See if the role gets a little lighter to wear.
The coat, not the skin, yes.
And Kai, you like the honest, slightly unsettling version. When the inner critic narrates this week, that was stupid, they were judging you. Don't fight it and don't believe it. Just ask your question from last time, but sharper. This voice is weather. Who's the sky it's happening in? Don't answer it. Let the gap be the whole thing.
Weather and sky. I can sit in that gap. It's the first version of this that doesn't feel like I'm being asked to believe something.
That's because you're not. You're being asked to look. Next time, tell me what each of you found, because what you notice this week is the doorway into the next lesson, where we open up the instrument that does all this assembling.
And that's today, how one boundless awareness comes to feel like a single, separate you, through localization, limitation, and identification, arriving as the Jeev. The everyday self is real and precious, the weather, but it is not the sky, the awareness in which it all appears. Next time we open the very instrument that does this assembling, the Antakarna and its 4 working parts. And to go deeper, The full Lesson 2.1 is available in the course Beginners, Conversations on the Mind in the Light of Modern and Spiritual Sciences on the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center's website, www.vedanta.nz. It is also available as an app on Google Play and the Apple App Store by searching for Vedanta NZ. Until then, be gentle with your mind.